I was probably in the second grade. My family traveled quite a bit in my father's work, and I was going to school that particular year in Washington, D.C., and one afternoon several older students came down to our classroom and did a magic show. I was really smitten by magic and their performance. And so I began to watch catalogs, and I'm not sure now what I was looking for in the catalog, but anything that came in the mail, I looked at it, and I saw magic sets advertised. And I knew that sooner or later I would get enough money together to buy a magic set because I wanted to be a magician too. We moved to New York City. We were there about a year, and my mother was not happy in New York City, and so my father moved us over to Newark, New Jersey. And I did not know who Hardin was, but I later learned that Hardin was Houdini's brother, and that Houdini had been dead about 2 years at that time and was playing the Hippodrome Theater in Newark. And I remember that my father was a great fan of Houdini's and sort of insisted that my mother take me to see Hardin at a matinee. And so we did go to see that show. It was a big full stage show with lots of people working in the show and lots of wonderful tricks. Well, that really did it. When I came out of the Hippodrome Theater, I was bitten by the magic bug. I didn't know that term at the time, but that's what magicians say about people that get into this business. So I was bitten by the magic bug. And I eventually did get the magic set and began to practice and practice as best I could. I had no guidance, no one that I knew did magic. And then we wound up living in Richmond, Virginia, and I think it was the 4th grade that I had gotten rather proficient with the magic set. We had another student at the school that was very wild about magic, and we did a magic show in the 4th grade class. I was actually the magician, and he was my assistant. And I don't remember how many minutes we worked, but the class was very responsive, and the teacher was very responsive. And I guess from then on, other teachers heard about it, and when there was any kind of an event taking place in their classes, somebody would come and get me from the office and say that I was wanted in somebody's room, some teacher's room, and I would go and have to do a couple of magic tricks. And so I did that all through school. So that was basically my early days in magic. I was born in 1919 in Lancaster, South Carolina. About 6 weeks later, my parents moved to North Carolina, to Richmond, Virginia, and then on to Washington, D.C., and we just continued eastward. Every year we moved to a different city. I guess it was probably maybe 1929 when I did the magic show in the 4th grade, as well as I can remember. But when I was 15, I remember doing my first paid show, and I got $5. It was in a church, and it was one of those evening socials, I guess you would say. And I remember how thrilled I was to get my first professional pay. And then I just began doing lots of dates, conventions, and lodge halls, churches, schools, whatever. It was Howard Thurston, and I think that was about 1934. He had not been in Richmond, to my knowledge, for my early years then. So when And I had read about him in many books. I used to go to the library and get books, magic books. And there was so many magic books there by Howard Thurston. They stood out from other books because of his ability to put into writing his thoughts and his goals in magic. And he had his attitude that I interpreted from reading his books was a person that was willing to help young people. And so I couldn't wait to see that show. But, well, Thurston was very formal, but a good sense of humor, spoke beautifully, dressed immaculately in a full dress suit for the time with white tie, tails. And he did so many things. It was a beautiful show. But one of the things that really impressed me, I guess, as much as anything, was his levitation, in which the young woman comes out and is hypnotized, apparently, and placed on like a little couch, and then she begins to ascend into the air 7 or 8 feet. He has her, he brings her back down to the little sofa, covers her with a silk cloth. It begins to rise again. He then puts his hands over it as though he's cast a spell and walks out to the footlights. And they had built an extension of probably 10 or 12 feet out from the stage, from the apron. I guess you'd call it a catwalk. And he was able to walk over the orchestra pit and almost touch the audience as he vanished this lady from the cloth. So I thought it was pretty spectacular. And I've not seen anything quite like that today.